So today's video is going to be around a really terrible topic, and that is, as a father, leaving an abusive relationship you're in when there's children involved. So probably the number one motivating factor amongst men who have children not leaving their abusive relationship is the children. Fear of what's going to happen to them, the uncertainty about what's going to happen when you leave, and the feeling of abandoning them. But something I want to go through here is how staying in the abusive relationship isn't just bad for you as the father, it's also really harmful for your children. And we can discuss that and then talk about different scenarios afterwards. So let's jump into that. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, share it around. It's tough topics, tough content, but it's stuff guys need to have access to. So please share that around. But yeah, let's go. So first, let's talk about the impact on the children of witnessing an abusive relationship. So it can lead to emotional problems, psychological problems. It can give them an unhealthy view of what relationships are like, causing them to suppress their own emotions. So globally, I think the statistic at the moment is about 275 million children witness abusive relationships per year. And obviously that does really have an effect on them, the stress it causes and everything they're seeing. Children who do witness abusive relationships are much more likely to develop depression, anxiety, PTSD, and actually are more likely to enter into an abusive relationship themselves later in life. The other aspect that they can get is they can develop guilt as they get a little bit older, feeling that they were the reason why their parent was abused or stayed in the abusive relationship. And again, that can trigger things like depression and anxiety later in life. So one of the big reasons why dads don't like leaving as well is they fear parental alienation. So they think that when they leave, the other parent is going to really alienate their children against them, talk badly about them, tell the child bad things about them. But the reality is that's actually already happening with the abuse, with the way you're getting treated in the relationship. That alienation has already started, and the child can already see that you're being put down, belittled, spoken to in a certain way, maybe physically attacked. So that's already there. So leaving doesn't, guarantee that more alienation is going to take place, and it doesn't guarantee that less alienation is going to take place. But what it does do is, if you're out of the relationship and you're trying to deal with that alienation, you're at least dealing with it from a position of strength in yourself, where you're away, you're out of that abuse, you can start to heal, you can be stronger in yourself, and you can address it then, as opposed to having all the other problems, all the emotional problems, the damage from the abuse going on, and trying to deal with the alienation. Right, let's talk about some of the challenges that you could face if you do decide to leave the relationship and there's children involved. So obviously custody disputes could happen, obviously, when you leave and you go to court to discuss these things. False allegations is a very real possibility that things could get said if you leave. Fake claims of you being the abuser could be made, very common. And then obviously emotional manipulation of the children, more alienation, etc. Now, here's the thing, leaving or staying doesn't mean these things are going to happen. These things could happen if you stay. False accusations could happen. The children are being alienated and manipulated. Obviously, staying, you're not fighting for custody, but if you leave, these things can happen, and if you stay, these things can happen. So, it's a fear, and I completely understand the fear, but it's something that, it's not preventing those things from happening, so to speak. So here's a couple of reasons why leaving might be necessary. And, this is such a hard topic, and it'll be good to have some comments and discuss it, back and forth. But, leaving shows your children that abuse is wrong and you can't stand for it. It shows them that you have self-respect and dignity and you don't want to deal with that kind of thing. And I think, as I mentioned earlier, you can put yourself in a stronger position where you can begin to heal, you can be a better you, and you can still have that contact with your children, still, hopefully you could maybe even get custody of them. But as we know, whole different topic when it comes to family courts and how many men get awarded custody. It's very low. But, you know, you can still have a relationship with your kids. You can still try and fight against the alienation, fight against that emotional abuse that they've endured, just being stronger in yourself when you're out. I'm not saying for a second that you go and leave your kids, but, you know, you need to weigh up all these things. That is staying more harmful than leaving. You know, think about it. Drop your comments in the, you know, below, and let's talk about it. Let's see different viewpoints. So just as a final thought, you know, staying in an abusive relationship for the sake of your children often feels like a very noble thing to do, but it is the truth that it can cause more harm than good. So think about all the things we've just discussed about the, you know, impacts on them, about what you're teaching them, about being a better, stronger person for them when you can heal from the abuse. It's an immensely difficult topic, and it's one where, you know, you're going to fight to find the right answer. But I thought it's really worthwhile making this video to show that there are two sides to it. You know, you can't just say, oh, well, I'm staying for my children because it's the best for them. You know, is it actually the best for them? Or is leaving going to be better in the long run for them? I mean, short term, everything is horrific. You know, and especially when you've got legal battles involved. But think about those facts, that if you're worried about alienation, is that not already happening? You know, if you're worried about, you know, your children being traumatized by you leaving, are they not already being traumatized by what they're seeing? So just think about that. Like I said, please drop in the comments your thoughts. Let's have a discussion. I know it's that time of year where alienated parents and dads who barely get to see their kids, it's a really tough time of year. But, you know, it's worthwhile putting this stuff out there so people can start to have these conversations and think about it. So, yeah, please like the video, share it around, drop your thoughts in the comments, and guys, please stay safe.